You're at the Artists Union Gallery, which is on the beach in Ventura.
And you just had a reading here.
Yes.
Open mic, and you also had a feature. And how long have you been doing this kind of thing?
Well, I've just restarted doing a weekly reading, which is the Artists Union, which has just been this year. But I started actually hosting readings 89, I think, 90.
Mm-hmm.
And hosted quite a few different ones.
Where?
Well, let's see. Started at the Insomniac in Ventura and did that for a few years. Then did Nickleby's. We did a reading there, a weekly reading there with Sophia Kidd. And we did we were a way for Nick to get his liquor license. We kind of knew that, because it was kind of a rowdy bar that used to get closed down quite often. Then he remodeled it and turned it into a place, and so he wanted poetry there, so maybe he'd get a liquor license. Then once he got the liquor license, we ended up moving to Cafe Voltaire, which was in the Livery in Ventura, and did a weekly reading there for quite a few years. Did a reading in Santa Barbara at the Green Dragon, and did that, which is also a weekly reading. And did downtown Ventura, did a weekly reading at the Daily Grind. And then we did a weekly reading and workshop with Friday Lubina at 2 West, and occasionally at Frankie's. Then we would do, and this was between 90 and the year 2000. Then we did a 4 times a year reading called the Art Gulag, which was music and art and poetry. And then David Oliveira and I started the Santa Barbara series in Santa Barbara. Up here in Ventura in particular, if you want to go to a poetry reading, you probably need to, I found that I needed to actually make the poetry reading.
You also were involved in publishing.
Yeah, Art Life, which ran for 25 years, and it was a monthly, published by a man named Joe Cardella. And what it was art pieces, handmade art pieces that you would put into a book, and we would hand collate the book once a month. And I was in charge of the poetry for the last 9 years. And so I would put in 25 pages of poetry that I would make the pages quite often myself and put them into the Art Life. And then when that ended about 5-6 years ago, one of the problems that I found with Art Life is that it was a handmade art piece, so it cost $50 per issue, which is kind of steep for a poetry magazine. One of the things that I would like to have been able to do is collaborate with someone, and the other thing that I wanted to do is put together a poetry magazine that you could sell. So Marsha and I started Askew, the Askew Poetry Journal, which costs $5, and we only do it twice a year. We'll not do a monthly magazine again.
You do a lot of Southern California poets. Are you publishing people from all over the country?
Oh yeah,
submissions from all over the country.
Oh yeah. I think we get a lot of Minnesota poets, a lot of New York poets, North Carolina for some reason. We get people from all over. Of course, we're going to publish Southern California poets if we can, and we want to. We want to publish. I think this particular issue, which is issue 11, is going to be pretty heavy Southern California poets. We do have poets from, we have Tennessee, Kentucky, one from Maine, and a few other places too.
What would you say about poetry in Ventura County?
There are some fine poets in Ventura County. I mean, obviously we don't have as many poets as you would have, say, in Santa Barbara, where you have a university up there, or in Los Angeles, where there's a tradition of really fine poetry. But one of the things that makes us really unique is the audiences in Ventura County, is that people really listen here. I think, I remember some of my LA poet friends, they would come up and read, and they were shocked that it's so quiet. They're listening. They're listening here. It's not a soundbite up here. It's like, we're outside the performance Hollywood thing, although there are fine readers up here, but people listen up here. And so you'll have a very quiet, accepting, and attentive poetry crowd.
And I noticed at tonight's reading there was some mention of workshops. Many of these poets workshop together, or they have been workshopping with one another or other people for many years.
We have a really nice tradition of workshops up here. Like Doris has a workshop, Doris Vernon does. Joyce Lemaris has run workshops, and I think still does. For a long time we had Joan Raymond's River Talk workshop, which was a phenomenal workshop up in Ojai.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of us, because it's such a small community,
mm-hmm.
I mean, poetry is small anyway. In Ventura it's much smaller, and so we kind of all know each other and we work with each other. And as you can see from the open mic, we actually listen to each other and improve because of each other.
Yeah, everyone seems to know everyone else. I got the impression.
Oh yeah, small town. Although we had poets here from Santa Barbara, East County, East
tonight,
Ventura, and Malibu, of course. People from all over. Ventura is a poetry destination. It really has become that.
Now, it becomes a particular destination once a year. You have an event. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, the erotic reading.
How long has that been going?
How long has that been going on? 9-10 years maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reading that's hosted by Marsha and Friday Lubina, and it's become a really fine poetry reading. What we do is it's an invitational, and people from all over the state. We've had people out of the state wanting to come read
mm-hmm.
their one poem or two poems, and it's a wonderful reading. I mean, we've got how to put this in a. It's become a contest between the older women.
Mm-hmm.
No one else is, the older women are the ones that really control this reading, and I always enjoy the young kids come up and they think they're hot, and they look hot, but it's really the older women that really know what they're writing about. And
you have been a poet for how long?
I have traversed many poetry genres over the years. I did performance for a while. My first book, Opium Wars, which was published by Milagrazzi Press, was a language poetry book, and it was published by David Oliveira Milagrazzi. Wonderful that he did that for me. Great thing.
And when was that?
98, I think.
Mm.
And then I've been writing a lot about my brother who's schizophrenic,
mm-hmm.
and I've called him the Rick Sings, or I call them the Rick Poems.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been really my focus for quite a while, although I've finished a manuscript and it's being shopped out a little bit. Hopefully I will find out soon. If it's
Are you a native of Ventura?
Oh no, I'm a Southern California native. My mother was born in Alhambra, my grandmother was born in Los Angeles, and her mother was from Los Angeles as well.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 generations.
Do I get the impression that you were a surfer at one time? Or? No, you never were.
I body surf, and I boogie board now. Okay. Different surfer. I do have a surf poem.
Yeah. But
it's about my son. The surfing, we have something called the Rincon, which is a long ride, long, slow ride. So a lot of surfers like that. And because it's such a slow ride, a lot of long boarders, big old... So
the old-timers.
The old-timers come up here and surf.
Mm-hmm. And you are a videographer, editor, sort of jack of all trades with video. Is that your occupation?
Yeah, I work for Time Warner Cable,
mm-hmm.
and I at present it's Time Warner Cable. It could be something else tomorrow. It's like I tell people I've worked for 5 companies and I haven't changed my desk yet. But I work for them. I do video production, shoot, edit, write, and voice, and sometimes stand in front of the camera.
as you're doing right now.
Yeah, although in front of the camera is my least favorite place.
Mm-hmm. This is probably the longest stand-up you've done. Oh, actually, you're sitting down, so it's not